separated from their mothers recently. Some have been in the institution for a few weeks. Some have passed through several institutions where they received little or no mothering. The most seriously affected children were selected for filming. They are always to be found among those with the longest histories of institutional living, during which they had passed through many hands. Medical examination shows no physical lesion that would explain their condition. Most of them have reached a point where their capacity for affectionate relationships has been seriously impaired. They have withdrawn from contact with the outside world. Indeed, love and kind mothering cannot help them, since their painful experiences of repeated separation or lack of any stable relationship forces them to reject it. Psychotherapy is needed to help them overcome their isolation before they can regain sufficient trust in people to build relationships. The first part of this film shows typical cases of severe deprivation. The second part shows the progress made under psychotherapy. Lawrence sometimes remains like this for hours. He watches everyone. He seems to be waiting. For whom? This boy is petrified. Only his eyes are alive. He hears a noise but hardly dare turn his head. Hello, Lawrence. Do you want to come with me? He remains stiff and remote, not even looking at the person holding him. He wants something. He doesn't know what. He doesn't mind being put back to bed. Here or there, what does it matter? He makes no protest at being left alone. Nothing seems to have... And this child just stays like this all the time. This little girl, though she looks happy, like Lawrence, doesn't look at the person nursing her. It seems impossible to make contact. Claude can keep quite still for hours. He does nothing. Sometimes he will remain in the swing for a whole morning, quite undemanding. He may look up as if to see who has come, but immediately falls back into apathy. Toys do not attract these children. On the contrary, the offer of toys or games distresses them. If approached, they shrink into themselves, like this boy. If touched or encouraged to walk, he throws himself on his stomach. He cannot bear to be touched. Monica is the same. Come with me. Come on, try. And yet Monica can walk, provided she is not asked to. Some are still aware of the outside world. Some are completely withdrawn. Monica is quite indifferent to the other children. She never plays or associates with them. She just cannot be drawn out of herself. She is also very backward, to the point of being thought mentally defective. In order to make a diagnosis, Geneviève Rappel observes and studies her reactions. These games, used as tests, are usually great fun for children, whereas Monica is frightened. It is quite unusual that she even handles the bricks. A little difficulty, and she is discouraged completely, after which she refuses all activity. She is quite prostrate. She is still very aware, however. One feels her whole being is stiff and ready to shrink back further into herself at the least interference. She is encouraged to walk, but cannot bear to be touched. No, the slightest approach, and she shrinks into herself again. Insistence fails completely. Repeatedly during the day, Monica has fits of anguish, sometimes for no apparent reason, sometimes because her isolation has been threatened. She will knock her head on the ground, strike and scratch herself, and pull her hair. Nothing consoles her. This state may last for half an hour. She calms down at last when left alone. Monica has asked to be taken on her therapist's lap, but she cannot stand it for long. She seeks refuge in her attitude of escape, but she is no longer prostrate. She even dares to make contact with her eyes. Her posture is no longer rigid. When called, she responds. Now she desires contact, and this brings her back. Do you want to come? No, the offer is still too much for her. And yet, how she would love to be cuddled. She dare not risk giving affection to people, though she longs to. See the tender look on her face as she rubs herself against the wall. Just as she could not allow herself to be cuddled, she cannot give in to her desire for the cakes. She is torn between desire and fear of gratifying it. She cannot bring herself to take the cakes. What she really wants is the bottle. When it is offered, she is afraid to accept it. But she comes back to her therapist. For the first time, she wholly gives in, yielding to the pleasure of being petted. Now Monica wants to be picked up. She makes herself comfortable and becomes interested in the games. Monica always holds a piece of paper, which seems to give her protection. She never lets it go far away. She is still reluctant to do things by herself. She wants the therapist to do them for her. See what happens when her paper is knocked down. Quick, let's pick it up. There'll be no game without it. Now Monica looks a real little girl. She can even tear up her protective paper and still seem quite at ease. As she plays, she needs and likes to keep in touch with Geneviève Rappel. Sometimes she is still overwhelmed by a brief spell of anxiety. She hesitates, but it is soon over. See her new attitude in the institution nursery. She begins to be able to enjoy physical activity, but she is still passive and has to be stimulated. Her little friend Catherine helps her a lot. Catherine is also under treatment, but already more active. Monica plays with her for hours, finding great satisfaction in being led. Catherine makes the most of the situation. Monica still needs encouragement. She needs help even for things she likes. Come on, have a slide. Let yourself go. That's right. There is some joy in life after all. Now Monica chooses her own games and can play by herself. She has become aware of the camera. She easily joins in with others in the group and is reaching out to make contact. She is often the leader, giving Teddy Bear his dinner, for instance. Her approach to adults is easier now. Teacher is busy. Perhaps Monica can do without her. Goodbye. I'm going shopping. See you later. Deprived of her mother, Monica passed through many hands and had no opportunity to form a stable relationship. She became afraid to make any human contact. A foster home was tried, but she was found to be quite unapproachable and was sent for treatment. After 1 year of psychotherapy, her behavior and her IQ appear fairly normal for her age. She can make friends and become strongly attached to people. She is still easily upset and still needs months of treatment. Today, Monica is back with her family. She is much better, but only time will show whether this recovery is maintained. You will remember Lawrence from earlier scenes, dull and apathetic, waiting for someone who never comes. After 4 months' treatment, he likes playing. He looks towards his therapist, yet dare not approach her. Though his activities and interests are fairly normal for his age, he remains quiet and reserved. Sickly, pale and weak, Jack does this all day long. He is quite undemanding. Ten months later, after 5 months' treatment, you can see his improvement. The improvement began as soon as he was able to form a relationship with his therapist. He grew and put on weight, although his diet and conditions remained the same. He is now active and sociable. He can play alone. He likes sharing his experience too. Christine is quite oblivious to all outside contacts. She was even thought to be blind and deaf, and is quite out of reach. All her movements are abnormal, but there is no organic lesion to explain this. "11 months later, after 6 months' treatment, it is obvious that Christine can see and hear. She has become conscious of the outside world. Her movements are still abnormal. She will need treatment for a year or two. This film has no end. These children will go on, they will grow up. Some of them have returned to normal family life. Others will follow. For all of them, life has been opened up again. How lasting their recovery will be after such damage at this critical age, we can only know in the future.